Today we're talking about unicorns and real estate.
I keep it real, I keep it real, I keep it real, just keep it real.
All right, Sam, you pulled me in. What the heck do unicorns have anything to do with the real estate market? And what we're referencing here is what's being coined as the unicorn years of real estate. And what we mean by that is the unicorn is something very rare, very rarely seen, hard to capture, but beautiful and wonderful to have. And that is the years of the COVID-19 pandemic and what happened to the real estate market during that time. It led to a lot of unique market dynamics that just lit the real estate world on fire. So we're calling those the unicorn years, and what we're gonna do today is we're gonna look back to 2017 and those years leading up to the pandemic, as well as what's happened since then. Because here's what's happening right now. If you haven't already seen or heard the headlines, there's gonna be headlines, articles, news stories out there talking about comparing numbers from today's real estate market to the pandemic, those unicorn years. And when you compare a lightning white hot real estate market to the market after that, it's gonna look like the bottom is falling out, and there's gonna be a lot of headlines that are out there that are gonna be more meant to terrify the news than to clarify the news. And so that's what we're doing here today. We're giving them some context and clarity to this information so that you can be an informed and educated consumer. So let's jump right into some of this graphical data we're gonna review from 2017 to today. And first I'm gonna start with home price appreciation. And so leading up to the pandemic years, we've had good, fairly normalized price appreciation across the United States. In 2017, 7%, 5%, 4%. Those are fairly conservative and typical numbers across the US. 7% is a little higher than normal, but 5 and 4 are kind of right in line. But then we get to the unicorn years of the pandemic, and through the roof price appreciation happens. And that happens for two reasons. One, the pandemic lit the world on fire with buyer demand. People were stuck in their homes. They were stuck in their apartments. They were stuck in mom and dad's house. And so buyers wanted to buy. And the second thing that led to that is that interest rates came down so low that buyers could buy more than they could have bought before. Interest rates below 3% gave buyers a ton of purchasing power during this time frame. And so in 2020, we saw 11% appreciation across the US, and in 2021, 18% appreciation. And so now, if we look back at 2022, we see a much more back to normal and conservative 5% appreciation across the country. And so people might look at this discrepancy and say, whoa, the market is really falling and it's really changing. And I tell you what, it is changing from the pandemic years, from those unicorn years, but it hasn't changed all that much from what we felt and saw as more normal years in 2017 to 2019. And I want to highlight one thing on this price appreciation data is that the national average of price appreciation in 2020 was 11%, and in Fort Wayne, Indiana, it was just over 8%, just under 9%. And in 2021, the national average appreciation was 18%, and in Fort Wayne, Indiana, it was 16%. And so this highlights one of my favorite things about Fort Wayne, Indiana's real estate market. It's that no matter whether the market is up or down, Fort Wayne, Indiana's response is conservative. Our highs are not as high as some of the coastal markets, some of the vacation markets, but when negativity happens in the economy, when negativity happens in the housing market, our lows are not as low. During the housing crash of 2008, Fort Wayne's price appreciation only fell by 5%. The national average in that same 5-year window was over 20%. So, call me crazy, but I will take this conservative response on the highs and the lows any day of the week. I like to be able to know and rely on my investment and what's going to happen with it. Next, let's talk about buyer demand. And one of the ways we can measure buyer demand is through showing traffic. How many buyers are out in the community looking at homes, scheduling showings, attending open houses, And so this is graphical data from showing time that gives a showing index of buyer traffic from 17 to 20, and the averages right there, the index was just hovering right around the 150 mark. In 2020, we see a pretty substantial dip because that is when the housing market got shut down during COVID times. We were shut down for a short window, which obviously meant no showings. So the index is quite a bit lower there. But then you see those unicorn years, this sharp rise in showing traffic in 2021 and 2022. And even now, as we're starting 2023, that showing index is starting to fall, but it is still well above the showing traffic of the years leading up to these unicorn years. So that's telling me that buyer demand out there in the market, even though interest rates are higher, is still very strong. Something that always affects the supply of available homes in our real estate market is the foreclosure rate. Are foreclosures coming to the market? And so this graph shows us the foreclosures leading up to the unicorn years. Obviously, the unicorn years are extremely low numbers here because the government put a pause on foreclosures. So obviously, there were very few foreclosures because the government gave homeowners a break and some time to get back on their feet with the economic uncertainty. But now that that moratorium in foreclosures has ended, we see a rise in the foreclosure rate, more than doubling from what they were in 2021 to 2022. And that is a headline you're gonna see out there. Foreclosure rates increase, foreclosure rates double. But that's why we need to look back to the 2017, 18, 19 years. We average 600,000 foreclosures a year across the United States. And even in 2022, even though foreclosure rate more than doubled, we were only at 324,000. So we're about half of that annual average that we see for foreclosures. So we are still far away than what is even typical in the market. Days on market is always a key indicator about the health of a market, the speed of a market, and how to manage expectations of home buyers and home sellers out there. And so leading up to those unicorn years, 2017 to 2019, the average days on market were all over 50 days. But when we hit those unicorn years, they fell down into the 30s, into the mid to low 30s. And now as we're coming out, we're seeing a little bit longer days on market. We're seeing inventory of homes sit on the market a little bit longer to 43 days on average in 2022. But that is still much lower, almost 10 days less than the market that led up to the unicorn years. So although these numbers are on the rise and sellers are feeling that, and sellers should manage their expectations based off this information, what we are seeing is that it is still a strong seller's market. It just feels a little bit different than those unicorn years, and we need to manage our expectations likewise. And then I touched on inventory of homes a little bit ago, but this is another graphical example of what's happened with the inventory of homes leading up to the unicorn years. A lot of people refinanced their homes in those unicorn years. A lot of people bunkered down in their homes and didn't want to list their home during the pandemic, which led to fewer listings. And so you can see a typical year leading up to 2020 to the pandemic years, we were over 1 million listings in the United States every single year. And then 2021, the COVID-19 pandemic, the unicorn years, we were below 500,000. So the inventory just got sliced and diced by over 50%, down to under 500,000. And now 2023 is here. We're starting to see it ramp up, but it is still far off from the inventory expectations of 1 million plus listings in the United States. Another great way to look at inventory is the month supply of homes. And what this means is it would take this many months to sell all the homes that are on the market today. And so leading up to the unicorn years, leading up to the pandemic, the typical inventory of homes was over 4 months of supply of homes. What does this mean to home buyers and sellers? Well, typically we consider 6 months supply of homes to be a balanced real estate market. Anything less than that, we consider it to be a seller's market. Anything more than that, we consider it to be a buyer's market. So even leading up to the pandemic years, it was a seller's market. But then the pandemic really sucked the inventory out of the market and drove buyers into the market. So supply was going down, demand was going up, and it brought the inventory down from over 4 months supply down closer to 2 months supply. Here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, we were running under 1 month supply of homes for a very, very long time. So that's just one indicator of the health of the market, but also one of the challenges of the market. When people ask, how's the market, Sam? It's challenging because buyers need to be prepared. When the right home hits the market, they have to have all their ducks in a row to move quickly, because that inventory might not sit there very long. So that, my friends, is how unicorns and real estate come together for magic. Those unicorn years, 2020, 2021, the COVID-19 pandemic, had so many unique characteristics to that market. And so we want to familiarize ourselves and know what happened in those times and know how it affected us in today's current market. But we can't always use our recency bias to say what happened then is also what's happening now. I still know a lot of home sellers that have really high expectations of the demand that they're going to receive for their home when they list it. And although they are still getting strong demand, their expectations are a little bit inflated and exaggerated because of these unicorn years. And so it's important that we review this information with home buyers and home sellers so they know the state of the market. They know what's happening and what to expect, and manage their expectations so that they understand the process and they understand how we're going to try to help them meet and achieve their goals in the time frame that they hope to achieve them in. I hope this video was helpful. Again, if you found this information valuable, make sure you like and subscribe. Share this video with a loved one that needs to hear this information. And I will see you guys next time. Sam Hartman, keeping it real estate. We'll see you guys.